Priyanka is one of my favorite winners, if not my absolute favorite winners of Drag Race. I don't think it's the most out there choice, but people aren't often bringing her up in the conversation as an absolute great for winners. Don't get me wrong, people love her to death for what she was like on the show and what she's done after, but for as an actual winner's choice, she's never really the first pick. Now, why is this? Why is there so much love for her but only up to a certain point? I mean, she's insanely talented and has done some of the coolest projects outside of the show, and people sing her praises for that. But when it comes to her win, points are slightly docked. I even did a poll recently asking how people looked at Priyanka, and the majority consensus saw her as a wonderful fan favorite, but not the best winner. There are two big reasons why people bring her up as not the best winner, and I don't really agree with either of them. The first reason is that her track record apparently wasn't the best, and she was in the bottom twice before Simone, and I think there's some Mandela effect going on because track record has never really mattered on Drag Race. People think it did for a short period of time because those who had the best track record also had the most narrative surrounding them, but in all honesty, it's never really mattered. If we're going off a track record, BB didn't have the best track record all the way back in season 1, neither did Raja, but they were both given the win. Wins and a decent track record are a means to get you to the end, but if you don't have a well-crafted storyline around you, then you're probably not gonna win. Track record does matter, but to get the most satisfying conclusion to a season, you have to have a reason to justify your win, and the best way to do that is through a storyline rather than just your wins that you have. Priyanka has this well-crafted storyline, and that's what made me fall in love with her. Another reason why Priyanka's win hasn't been regarded as one of the best is because she's from a non-RuPaul season, which has been brought up a lot recently because of all winners. There's this rumor going around on all these different places like Reddit saying that if RuPaul didn't crown the queen, then they can't be on all winners, and I really hate that. I think it discredits a lot of the achievements from international seasons, and Canada is no exception. However, to understand why Priyanka is a deserving and great winner, let's dive back into the storm, the mess, the interesting moments of Canada's Drag Race Season 1. I don't really know how to put it. Canada's Drag Race Season 1 came out at the both right and wrong time for the state of the world. Much like the girls from Season 12, it was back at the start of the pandemic, so a lot of eyes were on them on screen, but no clubs were being filled. This is one reason why Canada's Drag Race is remembered so well. It was at a time where a lot of the attention was directed towards entertainment, so a lot of the queens from the season have become really iconic. Rewatching the season, I really adore every single queen that was on the show. There were heavy hitters going out early, great personalities, and you were honestly shocked towards the end because all of the top 5 could have really won. Priyanka, though, was one of the queens I had my eye on from the start. First, it was really just great to have South Asian representation on the show, but second, it was clear she was a ball of energy and really fun to be around. Episode 1 has Priyanka entering first and immediately saying her iconic catchphrase that you're gonna hear a lot throughout the season.
My name is Priyanka. What's my name? Do you love me? I can't believe I'm here!
Right away, it's clear she has an idea of who she is and she's ready to give it to the audience. Something that we see from every queen, but Priyanka really puts into words is how amazing she feels to be a drag queen. Out of her entrance in the photo shoot, we really didn't get a ton of Priyanka this episode, but when she is shown, she's throwing out jokes and is just super fun. From the start, there's a lot of implications that she may be the narrator of this season. The Drag Race narrators are some of the most beloved queens on the show, but they often don't win in the end. They're hilarious, they drive the narrative, and their presence is fully felt over the course of the season. But often the narrative they're driving isn't really tied to them. They are integral to the entertainment of the show, but a lot of their likability stems from relatability and their faults, and that's what we start to get from Priyanka at the start. We fall in love with the narrator because we get to see this humility and self-awareness in each episode that they're in. Through having a lot of relatability though, they aren't often seen as the full winner package, but maybe Priyanka can change that. I mean, okay, well she did. Moving on to episode 2, this is where we start to see a lot more of Priyanka in the story. She mentioned in episode 1 that she's worked in children's television for years before Drag Race. And when she's thrown into a challenge working on camera, I mean, she nails it. She was in character the whole time and the judges sang her praises for it. It's clear with each challenge, especially performance-based ones, Priyanka goes in with an idea of a character and already knows how to make it look good on camera. This is one of the best strengths about Priyanka that isn't present in a lot of the other queens just because of their backgrounds. After years of TV under her belt and developing a new persona through drag, she's been able to conquer the branding side of things where other queens couldn't really going into the show. She already knows what works for TV and is able to stick with her brand while accomplishing what's asked for in the challenge as well. Episode 3 was another team challenge and saw Priyanka as one of the team captains. Again, going back to branding and having an idea of what will look good, she picked her team according to different personalities all coming together. Everyone brought something different to the table and she wanted to highlight that, and it served her well because she won this week. Yeah, the performance was a little messy from a lot of the girls on both teams, but Lemon and Priyanka really held it together. Just like last episode, she was in constant performance mode and did not drop for a single second. Every time Drag Race highlights something like this, it implies that the person is very professional and knows what they're doing, so it's a really good critique to get. Once again, we see the crossroads of Priyanka being able to brand herself while also sticking to the theme of the challenge. I'll be honest and say her verse wasn't my favorite, but it got the job done and was true to her character. People have argued saying the win should go to Lemon because her verse was better, and yeah, I'll definitely agree that her verse was better, but I really do think it was a toss-up between the two. Lemon won last week, and I think Priyanka was just as good, and they want to spread the wins out in the beginning, so I think Priyanka was the right choice. Episode 4, we really start to see the humility come out in Priyanka and things that she's not really confident in. It was a material design challenge in groups, something that I honestly really loved, and Priyanka was struggling to find a good design in her brain. However, a little work with Stacey and selling it with confidence, Priyanka was given really positive critiques. This was the first sign of the dip in Priyanka's season that got people a little worried about her placement in the show. We see her really shocked about the positive critiques she got, meaning she wasn't really expecting to do well in the challenge, and this thought process kind of persisted into the next couple weeks where she really started to doubt herself. Episode 5, it was Miss Cleo. Yeah, not a great Snatch Game performance by Priyanka. I don't really know what she was going for. She had the Jamaican side of the character down, but then kind of forgot that she was psychic. It was just like, I don't even know what was happening. The thoughts were clearly getting to her and it affected her performance.
I'm sitting there looking around being like, oh, all these girls are gonna come with funny answers. What am I gonna do? A bottle of rum because them queens love to drink.
Once again, jumping to the runway, it was clear she was preparing for really bad critiques, which she actually got this time. It was another knock to her mental that didn't help going forward, but the silver lining is we got an amazing lip sync to I Drove All Night, which was just spectacular. There was a good break for Priyanka in episode 6, however, because she was able to get back in front of the camera with Lemon. Both of their runways weren't the best, but in my opinion, they should have still at least been high or won the challenge because they were so insanely prepared, but that's CDR judging for you. Where we still saw the faltering and the mindset not being the strongest was on the runway. The judges clocked her for her runway not being up to her usual standard and showing how shaken she was by doing bad at Snatch Game. And then we get to episode 7, which is the final miss of Priyanka's run. I think the idea for a pageant challenge on Drag Race is really great, and I don't think there was really a bad performance here. Priyanka was able to stay in character the whole time again, but it was kind of one note. I thought her talent show portion was really funny and she could have easily gone down the route of being like really nice because she had her baby, but she stayed the same the whole time and that was the biggest note. Again, I do have to commend her because she had an idea of what she was going to do in the challenge, and even if it didn't come out great, it was still really thought out. Again, on the runway, we see the judges kind of picking up on the fact that her confidence is starting to dwindle.
Just thought that you could have held yourself with a little bit more confidence.
Even the way you're standing right now, you're kind of like...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. That's a little better.
Backstage, we start to see her panic over if she made the wrong choice by coming on the show after leaving her job. And this point in the season was definitely the lowest for her, but again, another silver lining is we got the Hello lip sync. Even at her lowest though, we still get some versatile and amazing lip sync performances to show that she still can take things on the chin and really blossom. Episode 8, we see the end of Priyanka's flop era as she wins her second challenge. At the top of the episode, however, we see the rest of the girls underestimating her because she has been in the bottom twice. I think this moment specifically plants the seeds into her winning the whole season. Having the rest of the girls underestimate her after a shaky middle portion of the season is perfect, especially with how she takes the heat, but we'll get back to that later. The episode is a makeover, and that can go in about 20 different ways depending on the arbitrary judging critiques that they choose to go with, but I think it was still clear that Priyanka was a strong choice for the winner of the challenge. She worked insanely well with her partner, and they both look stunning, again with the branding on point as well. And then at the end when she wins, we see how much it meant to her and how she was able to bounce back after a couple bad episodes.
I have finally had my redemption.
I think this win right here really solidified her making it to at least top 3 because of how well it wrapped up her mid-season flop. It's satisfying, it's heartfelt, and it's the perfect setup for the next 2 episodes. Episode 9, we've seen Priyanka has found her confidence again and has been really retrospective but in a better way. The win showed that she really had a shot to make it to the end, and instead of dwelling on her past mistakes like she had been for the past couple weeks, she's going to focus on the task ahead while growing from what she came from.
So imagine to my surprise when I bombed both of the improv challenges in this competition.
That must have messed with your head big time.
She got her groove back on the runway as well, being able to serve character and being confident in her paper dress. Michelle even commending her on how much she can sell herself as a product. She makes it to the final 3, and then we get to episode 10. There have been many winners who I believe have won in the finale of Drag Race, and I believe there's no better example than Priyanka. A bulk majority of the final episode is centered around her reflecting about her time on the show, showing how much she's able to bounce back with her confidence, and fully fleshing out the figure that she came into the competition already having a good understanding of. Like in her last episode, she's been really reflective on her time on the show, saying that it was good that she was able to laugh at herself and her faults, and the other 2 girls were really hyping up why Priyanka should be there.
I think that Priyanka is my biggest threat in this competition. Not only because she's a talented performer, but she is so invested in herself and invested in her brand.
I've gone on and on about how amazing her performance was in You Wear It Well, and I think it's one of the best of the franchise, so I'll spare you the time. I just really think that every portion of this finale showed why Priyanka should win the crown, and she won it in the end. Her performance was great, her runway, I mean, we'll get back into that later. Every question they asked, she had an amazing answer to, just the signs of a wonderful winner. The whole episode just embodied everything about Priyanka and her message, and then she won, and I think it was just the perfect ending. Priyanka was the narrator of the season, showed relatability, had multiple faults, but came back in the final leg and won the crown. The other 2 in the finale had better track records, but they all agreed that it was still anyone's game, and Priyanka proved that. I think one of the reasons Priyanka won out in the end was because she knew so much about her image going in. She is the perfect person to hold the title because she already has so much establishment in the media and was a fun character to follow. Bobo and Rita are both legends in their drag spaces and will easily come back for All Stars to dominate the season. I really think that any of them could have taken the crown, but the most endearing choice that felt the best to me was Priyanka. She truly embodied everything the season was about, and I think her winning in the end was the perfect cap off to the season. However, for her win to only come down to branding and likability isn't tapping into the full image of Priyanka. What speaks to me most about Priyanka's drag is the message behind why she started it and why she has her famous tagline. I don't want to make every single one of these deep dives from now on relate to me in my life, but I do want to point out the positives the show can have on viewers like me. Priyanka chose the name Priyanka because it's a common one in her culture and a beautiful one at that. The "What's my name" tagline has people screaming her name to highlight the beauty of the name and the culture behind it. The persona of Priyanka and the person behind the persona, Mark, are very similar people. But Priyanka serves as a heightened version of Mark, allowing for him to tap into his culture in the way he deems best. The chills that I got when she walked down the runway in that finale outfit, or even back in episode 7 in that amazing gown, are the ultimate signs of embracing culture. You guys know I am a sucker for people being proud of their culture in any form. That's why I love Shay so much. People who use the art form of drag as an extension of themselves and what they're representing is something that I hope I can embody in the future. I'm half white and half Filipino, and growing up in a predominantly white area, I never really felt like I could fit in with any culture. Even up until today, it still felt like my Filipino side has a lot of growing to do because I never really grew up in an area that I could cultivate this side of me. Performance art and drag to me allow for people to tap into their culture in ways they can't really do in everyday life. Like Priyanka says, her drag persona is a heightened version of her everyday life. She's been able to tap into the beauty of her culture in a heightened way that only drag can really do. When I see Priyanka on screen being able to wear these intricate, gorgeous garments, I see what I want to be someday. It's the message she's been going for, and I hope she knows how much she's been able to accomplish with it. Priyanka walked into the workroom with a tagline, a brand, and a message to deliver to the audience. The brand was tested and refined over the course of the competition, but the thing that stayed fully intact the entire time was the tagline and the message. I just think it was so smart for her to stay true to what she knew and what she wanted to represent. Regardless of whether she won or not, getting people to scream her name through the tagline allows for her message to grow over time. If I ever get around to doing drag, I want to have the same beauty and pride of my culture that Priyanka has for hers. Priyanka, from the moment she was crowned, has been a deserved winner to me. Obviously, I mean, that was the whole point of the video. A lot of people on my poll said that they really loved her, but didn't know how much they loved her win until the project she released after. The thing I've been emphasizing over the course of the video is her branding has always been on point because of her past work. With the money and notoriety of Drag Race, the brand has just really boomed. She's released some of the best music of any Ru girl, along with extremely high quality music videos in a series called Taste Test to promote her EP. She had a game show with WoW, of course titled What's My Game, and performed at the Canadian Country Music Awards. Everything Priyanka does falls back on what she established herself. And I think that's what people have been won over by in the end. Fans have seen the projects she's done since her time on the show and have fully gotten on board. Still, a lot of the love and praise still stems from her being a fan favorite rather than being a winner. I really hope what I discussed today has won you over and has made you realize that Priyanka is a very deserved winner even before all the projects she released. Priyanka is a smart, busy bitch who deserved her win and has proven on and off the show that she's well-branded, proud of her culture, and a full-on superstar. I can't stress enough how much I adore her, and I know in the coming years she is going to become even more massive. I just have one last question. What's her name? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you soon with another video.